So we waited already 3 minutes. Should we get started?
I think we should. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so good morning, good evening to everyone, depending on where you're joining from. I think let's get started while the others still joining. So I really thank everyone for joining us today on the very first session of Gamify series. So what is Gamify? Okay, after the success of gamification unconference, fun conference, which was held in May 2020, we launched this platform for all the game thinking lovers where we can meet and learn more frequently. And we are calling this as Gamified Series. This is a recurring event which happens on the second Saturday of every month. Before we move on, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping tips. So I highly recommend everyone to actively participate and learn and enjoy this session. And if possible, please turn on your camera so we can engage in a more better way. And yeah, please audio's on mute unless you're speaking. And today's session is being recorded and will be made available on Gamify channel. With this, I'll hand it over to my co-host, Nikita, to take it forward. Over to you, Nikita.
Yeah, thanks, Dolly. Along with what Dolly just mentioned, I would just like to add one more thing. This gamification series will be every month. The second Saturday of every month, we are going to have this series. So please look out for this space and keep joining the new sessions. With this, we are going to hand it over to Dipti. Dipti is going to talk a bit about the Women in Agile programs and initiatives. So I'm sure everyone here knows about Dipti and how Dipti has been actively building communities in India through Agile Virgin and Women in Agile and Tech initiatives. And now she's the Community Outreach Chief of India for Agile Alliance. So with this, Dipti, I hand it over to you. Over to you, Dipti.
Thank you, Nikita, and thank you, Dolly. I love you girls. And hey guys, I'm super thrilled. Hi, Paul. Thanks a lot for accepting invite. We're doing tons of things with Women in Agile and Tech. So let me just quickly introduce what is Women in Agile and Tech. Do let me know when you can check my screen. Is it visible to all? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So Women in Agile and Tech started with Agile Virgin. So what is Agile Virgin? Agile Virgin actually started somewhere around in 2015 when I wanted to learn, I wanted to interact, I wanted to network, I wanted to grow. And I thought, what should I do? And I started going to different meetups and conferences, and I liked the whole aspect. I started co-organizing, I started assisting, I started being a servant leader there. And that's when there were tons of other things which I want to do. For example, gamification. So I won't see a lot of gamification. I will not see a lot of visual learning. I will not see, a lot of interaction. I will see who they are on the other side of stage, are constantly on the other side of the stage. And so I just kept on wondering how a platform can be created wherein everyone can actually get onto the stage. And while going to these conferences and meeting these wonderful people, I learned something which is the open space, the unconference pattern of doing things, which is not very common in India. And so that's when, we created Agile Virgin. We started doing meetups first, and I went to XP, and I was blown away with the humongous open space they do. And I come back and I announced Agility Today. So while I was working on Agility Today unconference in India, I started interacting with Agile Alliance via XP conference only. And that's when in 2018 with Agile Alliance, we agreed to more focus on India community development, and we called this initiative, we formed this initiative with them, which is called Building Future Leader and Change Agents. And when we started working with them on building future leader and change agents, I shared different programs that we were doing with our meetups or with local community. And that's when one of the initiatives was Women in Agile and Tech. How Women in Agile and Tech came into existence? Because I was a woman. So a lot of women would talk to me and they'll ask, how do you manage? How do you manage time? How do you manage resources? Do you earn enough? Can you sustain? How do you get support and all of that stuff? And so when this conversation went on, I thought it is time to initially to formalize, that initial concept of a group of women helping each other, pulling each other up, learning from each other, sharing resources, creating a safe space, be it working mom or a single parent or a girl who has just joined the organization or a woman who is struggling to rise above and all of that. And I really want to shout out for Agile Alliance for constantly supporting me on this journey. So that's Women in Agile in Tech. This year, we are 15 officers, and here are the officers. They are from different cities, states in India. India is a subcontinent. It's not just a country, and it has got the culture, the language changes as soon as you go to another 10-15 kilometers. And so yeah, I mean they are all from many islands, I would say, from different cultures. And here with me are Dolly and Nikita, and both of them are also leading women development collaboration movement from their different cities. So you see, Nikita is leading it from Pune, and you look at Dolly, she's leading it from Hyderabad, and I am member of NCR region. Together, collectively, Women in Agile and Tech is working on 4 different programs. First program, which is Agility A to Z, talks about various postulates, existing practices, frameworks, methodology, mindset, culture, which enables agility. The next one is Gamify It, which is where we are today. Then Visual Act, which is more focused on visual learning, expression. And the last one is Unleash Yourself, which goes beyond just the organizational agility and gets more into personal agility, how we can unleash ourselves and create a wonderful environment such that we cross our own self-limiting thoughts and attain our maximum potential. Then there are other programs as well. I'll not get into all of them. That said, in all our efforts, we have seen the Agile Virgin community, which started in 2013, has been helping us, wherein all our men and women from there. I think it was, it was a lot of women who helped me then. And in this journey, I also discovered wonderful, amazing men who came forward. So there is no bias, gender bias here, but just an effort to create more diverse and equal community. So guys, that is all. Today we have Paul with us. The first session is for the Gamify. It is about agile development, game with purpose. And I hand over the stage and mic to Paul, and that's all from myself. Thanks. So over to you, Paul. We can't hear you, Paul.
That would be because I muted my phone. So, if I could request getting host, because I'll need that in a bit. And let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. So we're going to talk a little bit about how gamification works. And I know I'm really happy about being the first person to be delivering here. I know you're going to come up with lots and tons of games that are going to get presented to you. There are a lot of games out there, and I would recommend that anybody that wants to facilitate something, this type of event is the perfect place to do it, because it usually sets up a safe space that you can get some good feedback. If you do it like inside your company, sometimes the feedback is kind of muted, and you don't get exactly what you might need. So I think these types of sessions are great. I'm actually going to focus a little bit, rather than just on a specific game, but how software development, particularly Agile software development, is actually a game itself. All right, so this is the agenda we're going to do. We're going to do a little intro thing. I'm going to presume that everybody doesn't know everybody very well, so we're going to get a chance to do that. And then I'm going to sort of set things up and describe how Agile development is really a board game mechanic. And then the sort of guts of what we're going to do are a couple of exercises within a workshop with debriefs. And then if we still have some time left, I'm going to explain how, yes, even if you were doing the classic phase gate approach, which we commonly call waterfall, that it's a game as well. It's just a different looking game, and that way you'll have a chance to, sort of see what that would look like. All right. Now, before we dive into this, why would I want to describe things in board game mechanics? Well, if you I don't know how many people play board games here, or video games, or role-playing games, or even outdoor sport games, but all of them have sets of rules, and you could actually sort of create new games by sort of mixing and matching rules. And in board games, that's reflected through mechanics, right? The mechanic of maybe taking a turn. So hopefully everybody has seen the reference sheet that we passed out earlier, and has had a chance to read over that. That reference sheet describes a number of board game mechanics. It's not exhaustive. There are other ones out there. I basically took a subset from a website called Board Game Geek that I'm a member of, and tried to describe those things. I tried to make them also a little clearer, because some of geeks tend to talk in their own language, and I tried to make things a little bit more common language there, so it'd be a little more approachable. But you could start mixing and matching these mechanics. I might have like an auction mechanic that goes along with taking turns, that goes along with maybe being able to place a pawn known as a worker onto a specific board, which then may give me a certain action. So and I'm going to give an example when we start off the first exercise. I will give you an example of what a stand-up looks like. So without that, let's go ahead and get started. And first thing I want to do is I'm going to pair everybody up, and I'm going to give you 3 minutes. And what I'm interested in you doing is just sharing your secret identity, that's your real name, with other people. Then talk about what your superpower happens to be. All right. And then if optionally, you can give yourself a superhero name of your own creation. So here's an example, and this actually example is one, if you've ever heard of Nationwide Insurance, which is a U.S. insurance company. I don't know if they deal outside of the U.S., to be honest with you. The name here is made up. Ella Smith would be her secret identity, but this woman that was sitting in my training course where I put this thing was a grandmother, and she said, I can entertain 7 grandkids at one time, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. As a parent, I have one kid. Sometimes just entertaining him when he was growing up was difficult. So, and while she didn't give herself a name, I would say she could be known as the juggler, because she's juggling 7 grandkids and keeping them all entertained. And that's like keeping 7 balls in the air at one time, right? And keeping them all happy. So that would be the thing. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Let me first set up some breakout rooms. Did y'all give me host capabilities? Or do I need to request them?
Let me just give it to you.
Okay. So the one thing I wanted to do with this is just get everybody sort of used to working in breakout rooms, because we're going to the main parts of the exercise will be done in breakout rooms. So, there we go. All right, let's create some breakout rooms. There we go. All right, and we want where we can get 2 participants. All right, if anybody for any reason winds up in a room by themselves, just leave that room and let me know in the main room here. Otherwise, everybody's going to wind up in a breakout room. So get ready to go have fun, and just, I'll give you a 3-minute timer. And again, secret identity, that's your real name. You're going to have, you're going to talk about what your superpower is, right? And then if you want to build off your superpower, and then give yourself an optional superpower name, superhero name, feel free to do so. So here we go. Opening all. By the way, when the room closes in 3 minutes, you'll have 60 seconds to wrap up any conversation. So if you're not familiar with breakout rooms.
Hi. Yeah, hi, Anurag. You can hear me?
Hi, Nikita. Yep,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Right.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, it's all good. Great.
Okay, so I guess we have 3 minutes to exchange our superpowers and super identities.
Right, right.
So you remember the sequence? Actually, I didn't get it down.
Yeah, I have that. Let me open it. So it's your secret identity, real name.
Okay, real
and
name.
then your superpower. Then
Okay.
third one is your superhero name of your own creation, optional. So
Okay.
these are the three.
Oh, so we have to create our own superhero name.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's optional, but if you want, you can create. Yeah,
right. Right. So you want to go first and you want to tell me like,
yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
yeah, so I've written
yep,
your name as Anurag. So any
yeah.
superpower you would like to?
Yeah, so I have the great observation power. I
Okay.
observe things very keenly and get differences or kind of pinpoint or spot the things. So great
Mhm.
observation power. So I can, that is uh, my superpower. So, and I can put the name as well, that the observer.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. So are you based in India?
Yeah, yeah, in India based as of now. Yep.
Okay. Great.
So where are you based now?
I'm based in India, Pune.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm in NCR region as of now,
Oh,
Noida.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Great. So you've been part of these sessions before with Dipti?
For other things like other activities what she is running, so I came here in India this year only, February. So since
Oh,
then I'm
okay.
joining all the events and all, so
Oh,
now
great.
actively participating in all of the things and getting time as well, because of
Oh,
this lockdown and all.
right,
So it's
right,
a good
right.
opportunity
Perfect.
and all. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. Nice. Okay. So, my name is Nikita. So, superpower, I would say my superpower is empathy. Is I mean, I feel I am very good at putting myself in other person's shoes and really understanding their situation
Right.
and getting to know them. I don't know about the superhero name in connection with empathy, what can be. So, yeah, you have to think of that.
That's good.
Right.
So
So, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. No, you go ahead first. Yeah.
No, so I just going to ask you where you working right now.
So as of now I'm working with DXC technology. If you heard the name, it was
Okay.
CSC before.
Okay.
Then CSC and HP got merger and new name, new logo, that is
Hmm.
DXC.
Okay.
Now with DXC. How about you?
I'm working with a startup called Value Added Soft Tech. It's called VAST, VAST.
Okay.
So we are basically we have our own products, a hyper local market product, some to do with real estate products, and we also help like if somebody is a domain expert, we help them build their products. So somebody from HR, if they want to come and build a product, so we
Okay.
help them. Their domain expert, our technology expertise, and build the product for them.
Right. Right. That's great. So
Yeah,
something different you are doing than the
yeah.
usual way of people doing that job and all. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I find this exciting. So I just
Yeah.
work
No,
with a
that's really
startup.
good. Yeah.
Right. Okay, I
And
guess
how long you have been? Yeah, it's a very less time, I guess.
yeah, I've been with the startup for a year. Before this, I was working with another small company for a
Oh my God, all of us are back now. Wow.
year. Yes.
You're back.
Awesome.
All right. I'm just doing another little setup so we don't have quite as much time quite as much time. I hope that was fun, everybody.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
All right.
it was indeed.
It was actually. Yeah.
I will say that one thing I've noticed weird, I forgot that I dialed in and it actually threw me into a breakout room and I didn't realize it and it was all by myself.
Okay.
So anyway, it's an interesting thing. I'll have to pay attention to that. So, and of course I wound up in the unlucky room 13. So, or at least it's unlucky in Western culture. All right. So, whoops, I went right. Sorry. Cool. So, I wanted to just share a little bit about this icebreaker. I like this one in particular It's a good way for teams to get to know each other. You know, especially if you have a brand new team coming together and they haven't worked together, it gives a chance to share. You know, a lot of times the type of thing that you're actually, your superpower is like maybe being organized. Or I had one person that said, "Oh, I'm a tester. I can break anything." So that, you know, which was awesome, right? That's the type of person you need on your team. And, you know, if you know somebody that can do that kind of good exploratory testing and break anything, then you know you can get a good robust system out of it. I've run it quite a bit in training courses. Again, this one from Nationwide is where I got the grandmother that said she could juggle all the kids. So that was awesome. And, you know, that's a large company. I mean, they're thousands of people, and the people that I'm training are coming from broad swaths. It gives a chance for them to kind of get to know each other. It's also great to run if you are any type of person that runs leadership retreats, you know, with managers or execs. It's a good thing for them to get to know each other. And we've done this before at like networking events for coach camps here in the U.S. We've done that. In fact, that's where I actually learned about it. So it's really kind of a fun little exercise to get to know each other. So you're probably wondering what my superpower is, and mine is I can pretty much gamify anything. I won't say I can gamify anything, but most anything. So I'm going to talk a little bit now how I look at software development from an Agile perspective and why I think that is a game. So don't tell anybody, but it is a game. If you've ever heard from Alistair Coburn, he talks about it being a cooperative game, and I'm going to take this to the extreme by showing you some board game mechanics that sort of fit in. So one of the things that I'm always trying to stress is that we have some fun while we're building something. So you know, we don't want this to be a boring activity. We try to do lots of things to make these things sort of fun and engaging. So now, interesting things about games is that they have players. That's in software development. That's all the developers, testers, business analysts, UX people, information security people, their management layers, the business that you're interacting with. There are rules. That's how the interactions are sort of described. When we get to the workshop, we're mostly going to focus around a Scrum framework. But if somebody wants to volunteer doing something else, we can add that. I'll just make sure that we have a breakout room set up for that. We have consequences. So if we fail to do our software development effectively, we produce buggy code, which then can cause loss of customers and so forth. And then there's some kind of payout, right? So that consequences of having bad buggy software and, you know, then maybe losing some customers means we don't maybe make as much money, which would be the sort of the value. So you can pretty much see that software development can kind of fit all four of these things pretty easily. So now, the other thing, and one of the reasons I'd like to start out with that exercise that we were doing before, you probably realize not everybody came up with the same superpower, right? Because we're all not alike. We all don't look like these yellow meeples here. That we all have a lot of diversity, and we want to harness that when we're doing this. We have, you know, a broad palette of skills, talents, and interests. So that opening exercise just again reemphasizes a little bit about diversity and why that is an important aspect to bring in the things. And so diversity just doesn't mean also where you're from or the color of your skin, but it's also that your thinking and stuff that goes along with that, right? So all that different experience comes in, and, you know, somebody that has a very different background and experiences is going to have a different set of skills, talents, and interests than I will. And that's extremely important. Again, we talked a little bit about being a cooperative game where we're all trying to work together. Here, the folks are playing pandemic and trying to cure diseases throughout the world, and probably not too much unlike what our scientists and doctors and stuff are trying to do with COVID currently. And if you're going to do a cooperative game, then you've got to have good communication, right? So cooperation and communication is the only way you get things working well together. And if it doesn't work well together, then, you know, if you're missing either cooperation or communication, you get incongruence and you're not going to be as successful. So now, another thing that's really kind of cool about software development, if we look at role-playing games for a second, is we are basically sort of exploring. We generally do not know everything about what we're doing up front. We have a lot to learn as we're going along the way, so it's a lot like doing some exploration. New paths and obstacles will get revealed as we play. We're not going to know all those up front. We may be able to identify some of them, some of these risks, and some of the value we're going to get, but we're not going to know until we actually produce something and we start getting feedback, right? So that's one thing. You'll look at board games, or if you look at video games or even role-playing games, there's feedback cycles. I do X action and it does Y for me, right? It either indirectly or directly maybe leads to victory. So again, if we're trying to develop a product release, it's sort of like taking an adventure. So again, if we take Scrum, those are like little short segments, maybe moving through rooms or moving with our party, our development team, working together to achieve a goal. The party, if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons or Traveler or some of the more modern ones like Pathfinder or something like that, the party self-organizes. They make decisions and stuff. And usually there's a game master that sort of sets up sort of the environment. All they're doing is setting up context. And sometimes these games are actually, game master lists, no dungeon master or no game master. So they truly are self-organizing. Again, also in role-playing games, you gain some tools and experience as you play that, not just in how you play it, but also as the party themselves. You'll learn a new skill. Maybe if you're a wizard, you might learn a new spell, or you get a new piece of gear, maybe a wand or something that allows you to do something, right? And now you have extra capabilities. If you put many product releases together, it becomes like a role-playing game campaign. So, and what's interesting about that is the priorities seem to come from out of nowhere, right? From these distant netherworlds, because the next release may not be dealing with the same business customer that you were, right? Especially if you're building enterprise software. But your experience that you built up in the last product release will carry over to this product release. It's not like you forget things. You get to continue using them. So again, each release becomes like continued learning. So that just gives you, hopefully this gives you a feel of how feedback cycles are starting to work and how, in this case, using a little bit of role-playing game mechanics, although some board games have that too. And we want to do lots of research and experimentation when we're doing this, right? So there's all sorts. We're going to learn through, most of our learning will be done through research and experimentation. Not while we may use a book, it's until we actually start, putting this thing into the keyboard and seeing what happens and getting the business's reaction to this before we learn anything from it. So again, feedback cycles. All right, it's exercise time. So in this exercise, you're going to basically, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms again. The breakout rooms will be a little bit larger group. You'll have roughly 8 minutes to do the work. You'll hopefully be using the handout as a reference, but you don't have to use it. Feel free to make up a mechanic, or if you are an avid video game person, I am not. You may know of certain mechanics that go in that, especially if you happen to be a video game programmer. You probably know mechanics that are getting baked into that. Or if you're a role-playing game person, or maybe you're well into sports, like I guess for y'all would be cricket and soccer. If you're really into those, you might know certain mechanics that go into that. Feel free to use those as a description. Each room is going to have a column in Trello that you're going to be working on. So hopefully everybody got the email link and has joined the Trello. If for some reason I see somebody left out, or if you are not on Trello, you could rely on somebody else in the room to capture that information. Or you could quickly send me a private request and I'll try to add you quickly. I might get inundated though, so I would try to count on a helper inside the thing. The last thing I'd like you to do is make sure you elect a spokesperson. We will be doing some debriefs, and if we have everybody trying to do a debrief all at once, it will probably be chaotic. So, all right. You're going to basically, in that list, for a certain, in fact, let me jump over to Trello. Let me get my new share, just so I can show you what we're doing. Here is the Trello board you'll be working with. So each room I have a number, and you'll notice that these are the columns you're going to be working in. So as you choose a mechanic and want to put that in there, you can just describe it. And so these are the things that you'll be looking at: estimation, backlog management, story refinement, pair programming, technical practices is a broad umbrella, sprint or iteration planning, sprint or iteration review. You can tell I'm an XP guy because I like iteration more than sprint. Retrospectives, program increment release or release planning. Program increment planning, if you're not familiar, that type of planning is done in SAFe. So anybody happens to be a SAFe consultant, You can think a little bit about that. And Scrum of Scrums, which is just sort of a practice that comes from both LESS and has been adopted by SAFe and several other things. Now, let me give you an example before I just turn you over to that. So I've chosen stand-ups. In a stand-up, everybody's working together, so it's cooperative play. That's one of the mechanics you'll see on the sheet. When you are, while you might sort of talk about the cards and stuff, you're sort of actively selecting which card you're going to work on, all at the same time, right? If you finish up a card, you're just going to select another one that you're going to do, and we can look at that as being simultaneous action selection, where we're all choosing that. Now, we might reveal what we're doing in a turn, but we actually sort of select that by looking at it. The actual act of selecting it and choosing to move that work to yourself would be if you were represented as a pawn or a meeple in a board game, would be worker placement. You're putting yourself on that card to do the work, and then you're taking the actions of whatever that task is about when you put yourself on that. So if it were a test engineering task, you would be doing test engineering actions, writing code or infrastructure code or tests, or maybe if it's actually exploratory, you might actually be manually trying to break the thing, right? Your goal in another mechanic, if it's a typical Scrum board or maybe you're using Kanban within Scrum, you're moving a card across the board to the done column, or at least the product owner review column, and you could look at that as pick up and deliver, where you're trying to deliver this task to that final state. And lastly, quite often we find in stand-ups people say, oh, I'd like to work with you on that, or I need some help, can somebody help me out? And maybe you'll get one or two people that join in, maybe for pair programming or maybe for something else, and that's forming little teams, and that is in board game mechanics, that's called partnerships. So those are, and we could probably noodle and find more if we wanted to, but that's just a very simple example of what you're going to be doing. So let me first open up the floor to make sure there's no questions. And if you have a question for what the exercise is going to do, I'd like to ask that you put it in chat. Just let me, that way we can, and I'll call on you in turn. That way we don't step on each other. Give just a minute or something, make sure we don't have any questions. All right, it looks like we might have silence. So let me go here and get the boards, the breakout rooms set up. So you're going to wind up in a numbered breakout room. The numbered breakout room will correspond to the column number that is on the Trello board. So you want to have that up, and I would recommend that you sort of talk it amongst yourselves as you add it, because you might want to figure out a little explanation of the why that you're doing it, because that's going to be some of the stuff we want to debrief on. All right, let me get our breakout room set up. That's there, and let's get 10 rooms. All right. Make sure that this is going to work. And then the only thing I want to do is do something. All right. If you get into the room, Dolly, you'll be one of the people that has this 703 number. That's going to leave or be pulled out of it. Or if I can't do that, I will just ignore it, because that's me. So, all right, here you go.
Hi, Jishnu.
Hi. Hi, Nikita.
Hi. So it's just, yeah. Oh, Gia. Okay. Great. So I guess it's just two of us in this room, and we are on 9, right?
Sorry, I didn't really get what to do
Okay.
in this activity.
No issue. I'll do one thing. I'll be sharing my Trello board so that we'll be able to see it. Okay. So yeah, these are the Trello. We are in room number 9. So we have to work on 9, program increment and release planning. Okay.
So what do we need to do here?
So what we need to do is we need to find out mechanics which will help us in program increment or release planning. Okay, so what is it? There is this one Let me just check that. Yeah, so this is one sheet of mechanics that Paul has shared with us earlier. So this talks about certain mechanics. So we can use one of these mechanics. For example, for release planning, we could use something like a bidding mechanic, where we ask the players or the team members to bid, saying that which are the items we need to take in this release.
Okay.
Okay, so which other mechanics we can use in this particular release planning or program agreement?
Okay, so do we need to pick up from there? Because I didn't look at that subset which was provided. So let me just go.
No problem. We can have our own also. So like during release planning, is there anything specific that you use?
So basically, we don't have things like release planning. We do things very differently.
Okay.
Call it like a big room planning, or you can say like, the PI planning.
Right.
The way it is very safe. So it's like you bring, all your ideas, what you want, and you present it, what are the values that you're going to bring. And then if it gets like a fist of five, then, it's very clear that we know that we are going to go ahead with this. This is where we get funding. So yeah, it's like, when I think of release planning, I think of the very old days.
Right.
Release planning.
Right. Okay. So
basically, when I can think of release planning like the way it was done, even when using just purely Scrum, was that like that what is the most valuable thing that you have to do. The goal is clear. The goal is really important. And is there any specific timeline that we're looking at? Like is there a hard timeline that the stakeholder has?
Yeah. So, but any mechanics in the sense like. These are the things that we need to do it as a part of the thing, but we're talking about mechanics, like, dot voting could be one of the mechanics. So if we have a list of 10 features that we want to plan, then which are the features that we need to take in this release? So how do we decide that? So of course we can prioritize it, but everybody might have different priorities. So one of the things could be like dot voting.
One of this that we use is, those, the Moscow technique.
Yeah, we could do that. So we can say dot voting, we can say
Moscow.
Let's see if we can find anything in here. So I'm just looking at this card drafting. Play evolves in the game by planning, balancing resources, upgrading characters and facilities via decks of cards that you will pull from a common set or okay.
I'm looking at commodity speculation. It's like, players buy and sell resources or company shares in the hopes of predicting changes in value. So it's because what happens in release plan, I need these many people, in my team.
Right.
So
right. So let's that's a good idea. Let's oh sorry, where is it? What was it? Commodity?
Yeah, I think it was commodity CO. Just a minute, let me just.
Speculation, okay.
Commodity speculation, yeah.
Yeah. So, right. So I'm just going to check if we have a sprint planning as well so that we don't get confused. So yeah, so this is a release planning, not a sprint planning. Okay, so we're planning for the entire release. Okay. Anything else we can take from here? At one location on the playbook and get to another location. Actions, simultaneous action selection. This, what do you think of pick up and deliver? So it says players must pick up an item at one location on the playing board and bring it to another location on the playing board.
I think that's more of a
Delivery part of it, right?
yeah. It's more like during the daily scrum, right? They're actually moving what they have accomplished,
Yeah.
what task has been completed. Release planning.
Control of an area.
Also that budget part, right? That you also secure the funds.
Yeah.
So if there's a game that can tell us secure the funds.
So auction and bidding. So like, you can bid on the item that, and the one with the highest bidding will be taken first.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, does that sound good? So we can say. Okay.
I'm looking at the others.
Yeah.
They don't look like any activities, more like feedback from people. These are more like
the actions that you do.
Yeah, these are the work that you do. Like these are not games.
Okay, here for sprint time they put planning
poker.
Oh yeah. Okay. Technical practices, leveling up, negotiating, spiking. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's just the sprint review part. I think others seem to be have. Okay, I guess we are good. What do you say? Yeah. We anyways have 4 seconds remaining.
Good.
I think we did good.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Nikita.
Yeah, same here. So, are you based in India? Yeah.
No. I'm based in Singapore.
Oh, okay. Great.
It's quite late right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're ahead of us.
Yeah, it's going to be 11 soon. 11
oh, okay. Wow.
So until what time is it?
So here it is 8:15.
No. I'm saying until what time is the?
It's another 45 minutes.
Okay, another 45 minutes. Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure.
I'll see if I can hang on until then.
Okay. Otherwise, you will always have the recording.
Yeah. Is it uploaded on like Women Tech?
Yeah, so we have YouTube. Yeah, we have a YouTube channel, so we'll be uploading in it, and we'll be sharing the link with you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure why we're not going back because the time seems to be over. Oh, was I not sharing my screen till now?
No, you were sharing your screen. I'm viewing your screen, Nikita.
Okay, you are, right? Okay.
Yeah, so it's okay. You can stop sharing your screen. I'm fine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. Okay, Paul has said about 2 minutes left.
Oh, I thought it's 2 seconds.
Right.
We still have
do you want to go back to the main room? Because I think we're done here.
Yeah. I think we can go back to the main room.
Yeah, so I'll just say leave room.
It's more about a discussion to make sure the story is clear and everybody is on the same page. I'm not sure how we should write that. Maybe transparency. I don't know.
Understanding the requirements, or basically acceptance criteria. You also finalize your acceptance criteria.
Yes.
So you can put that as well.
Clarity. Yeah, so we are planning for the future. So
you're planning for the next sprint or upcoming sprints.
Planning. So it's a planning activity. We are thinking of the long-term vision, right?
It's not planning again. That is sprint
planning.
It's a
future vision. Yeah, future vision for the product. What or not that?
It's not sprint planning. Let's not confuse it with sprint planning.
No, not planning. It's just putting.
It's getting ready for upcoming sprints. Getting ready for upcoming sprints.
Correct. Anybody else wants to give their views, guys? Please feel free.
Yeah, I'm the only one speaking. Please, guys.
Whoever is in this room.
I think we covered almost most of the point, but
Yeah.
we need to refine this also.
Yes, it is too much.
Yes.
That is true.
That's okay. I mean, doesn't matter. I mean, how does that matter?
This is Paul, just reminding you, make sure you have a spokesperson. So when we do the debrief.
Okay.
We can have Manjari, spokesperson.
No, I would like somebody who was not talking should be a spokesperson. That would really help. Let's to summarize, because it was a team activity. So Piyush or Pooja, anybody wants to take up? Just summarizing what we did. And who else? Vaibhav, Shiba, Shweta.
I'm there as your backup if you guys want me. Yeah, if you guys.
I can take up. I don't know if you're able to hear me. I've been talking actually.
Oh,
Now
I'm
we
sorry.
can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can.
I'm on phone, so I'm sorry about that. So.
That's fine, Manjari. This is the first sprint, so maybe you can take up from the next weekend. We can discuss.
Okay, got it. Okay, then maybe Neeraj, you would like to speak, then you can go ahead.
Sure, no problem. I mean, again, we all can speak. I'll speak, and then you guys can chime in as well. So no issues.
Yeah, sure. Neeraj, you please go ahead and talk.
Definitely. Whenever we are ready to speak. I don't think we are ready to speak yet. Paul, are we ready to speak or?
When the rooms are going to close in about 30 seconds when everybody else rejoins us.
Okay. So probably.
Yeah. So then
Paul
we will be able to
will let us know. So I think we will go on mute then. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
This story refinement team has added, some extra points when they looked at our backlog and they saw, oh my God, Team 7 is doing so well. And so
not really, Deepthi.
No.
Not really.
So we were in the main room and Paul
We
is
were
our
in the-
witness. Paul is our witness. How
Paul heard us speak. He never.
Oh my God, if it has Neeraj, it has Manjari, then I can't, they have.
Deepthi, no.
Actually, Deepthi, Paul was with us. That is
yes.
Oh.
All right, so let's do a little bit of. First of all, I swapped to using the computer audio, so I don't wind up throwing my telephone number. I couldn't find a way of getting myself out of the room. Couple things. I want to just before we jump into the brief, I think I want to just mention a couple technical glitches, and I'm not sure what's causing these. I haven't seen this in Zoom before, but some people are not getting assigned. I'm not sure why. If you wind up not getting assigned for some reason, I might try moving you into a room and then remove you back to a room you should be in. The other thing is if that doesn't work, and so that you might see yourself popping around a little bit, right? I'm also trying to make sure that people are sort of evenly distributed to some degree. So if like one person winds up totally by themselves, I might try to move somebody into another room to cooperate with them. Hopefully I've sort of settled that out and we'll not need to do that again. But if for some reason that happens, that if you're kind of popping around or you don't wind up in a room, then what my suggestion would be, come back to the main room and maybe work on whatever's going on in the main room. In this case, story refinement wound up being that. Or I can try to put you into a room, but I can't do that until you're back into the main room. All I can do is shuffle you between rooms, which may or may not fix it. I'm not.
And that's exactly what happened with me, Paul. I was in breakout room 10, kept on waiting for people, and then I came back to the main room.
Yeah.
So let's hope.
I'll just mention I've not seen this with Zoom before, but who knows what's going on. Lots of other glitches.
No worries.
No worries. All right.
Join a great team. So.
Here's how we're going to do. I am going to call on the room number, and we're just going to basically walk the board left to right. and I'd like that spokesperson to highlight what they think were most important, you know, aspects that came out. So if we try to go through all the lists, it'll take us forever. So I'm interested in like the 1 or 2 primary board game mechanics, or if you use a different kind of mechanic, then I want you to go ahead and just talk a little bit about that. All right. If you made up a mechanic, you might need to explain that just a tiny bit. I'd like to do that within about a minute. So just so we can kind of manage time and not go over too much. All right. So let's start off with, room 1, which had estimation.
All right. So the key ones could be simultaneous action selection and voting, especially if you are using planning poker or a similar technique. And the others could be supporting.
Very cool.
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on to room 2, backlog management.
Hey, Paul, Naresh here. So backlog management, the top one could be prioritization. That is the main thing. So which backlog management talks about. That is one thing. Then the collaboration and the estimation. These are the 3 main things which are required for the backlog management.
Okay. All right. Just so you know, here's how I would view prioritization would be card drafting, because that's where you're selecting cards to join. So that's kind of like you're prioritizing those cards. You could also perhaps say that's being resolved also through deck or pooling, like deck or dice pooling is another board game mechanic. The estimation is sort of like betting and wagering, or guesstimation, whichever way you want to look at it. And then you had collaboration, that would be cooperative play, right? So
yeah,
just want to kind of give you a little bit of feel. So when we move to the next part, you might want to think a little bit about it. All right, room 3, story refinement, which actually wound up being in the main room.
Yeah, so I guess the first one is the storytelling, and storytelling basically to describe the stories, what are to be refined further, with all possible details around that what is mentioned under any of them, and it should be in the form of a game, or you can say very interactive way, that how we can explain the things in more story format, and that could be understood by the team members, and then accordingly the refinement could happen. So that is what the first way of.
Okay.
So I would add cooperative play into that if you're looking for a word in refinement, because it's all cooperative play and partnership as well. So.
All right. Yeah. All right, let's move on to pair programming, room 4.
Yeah, I think the top 3, first one is partnership, second is cooperative play, and third is the act of balancing that we generally see in tag team matches, specifically in wrestling.
Cool. All right, let's move on to number 5, technical practices.
So you're leveling up, you're improving your technical practices while you're implementing DevOps. We have a concept of optimization or minimization, which I didn't come up with a game mechanics word for. We're definitely doing the cooperative play if we're doing it right. And even story splitting can have a technical component.
Cool. All right, let's move over to number 6, sprint and iteration.
So in room 6, what we thought about was in iteration planning was one was for estimating, we had planning poker, and for prioritization we were considering Moscow, and as a part of collaboration, something that's visually in front of us, Kanban boards and Scrum boards, where we are actually moving around. And the one techniques that we thought about was a 9-why liberating structure, along coupled with active listening, so that we know why a particular piece of work needs to be done. We were also considering Troika consulting or wise man method for really and getting solutions as well during the iteration planning.
Cool. So if I were going to, again, think a little bit more about board game mechanics for your planning poker, I might go into like wagering or betting. For your prioritization using Moscow, I'd probably, since that's actually grouping things into different segments, I would probably think a little bit about maybe that's deck pooling or dice pooling. right? And then collaboration as team is to cooperative team. 9 whys and active listening together would certainly be cooperative play. So that would be some things that I would think about from a board game mechanic standpoint. All right, let's move to sprint iteration review, room 7.
So, we realized that we have to have a clear report, the outcome of the entire sprint. And there will be naturally questions why the item is not done. And so we thought we should be ready with the explanation so that it shows the impediments and hence there is a possibility of getting help. So this was the highlight we feel that, for iteration review, we thought. And then, of course, there are items. You should take feedback. It's not that team or the scrum master has to do work for him. Similarly, team should take their own feedback. They don't have to be just sitting clueless and then come back and say, "Oh, PO, what were you saying there?" Things like that. But the top priority is the concise report, what we have achieved so far, and if not, then why.
Yep, excellent. And that all sort of fits into storytelling when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's your, the team is telling a cooperative story to the business of what they've accomplished, right? So that's all right. I guess I'm thinking room 8 had a problem with getting people into it. So let's go into program, increment, or release planning. Number 9.
Yeah, so number 9, it was Gia and me, both of us in this room. So it was about release planning, where we were going to plan what items would go into a release. Some of the mechanics we thought we could use was dot voting to decide which features will be taken up. We could use Moscow. And then we went through the sheet that you shared with us, Paul, and we tried to see if we could pick up any mechanics from there. And then we thought of commodity speculation could be one of the things that we could pick up for this, or action and bidding.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see all of those. So dot voting, kind of like a worker placement mechanic. I give you, somebody gives out X number of workers, and you kind of place them on what you think is the most valuable. And then that's going to be the work that goes into the increment. So you could consider that the actions. And again, Moscow could be something like deck pooling or something like that. So very cool. All right. Hopefully that gives you a feel for that. All right. Let's go back to the presentation. Oops, I didn't want to leave the board because I want to come back to that. Let me go back to, where did my presentation part go? Did the PowerPoint crash on me? Hang on a second. Let me close that for a second. It's hiding. Okay, there we go. Probably because I don't know what I'm looking for. There we go. All right, so we finished the exercise. Very cool. So, and we did our debrief. All right. So again, thinking in terms of mechanics, why do we care about this? So if we were following Scrum, at the very beginning, and maybe you've got a brand new CSM and a coach is trying to help a team get started, they're at the shoe level, Alistair Coburn likes this whole shu-ha re type thing. So shoe, you're following the rules exactly. Thinking in terms of board game mechanics is actually sort of getting you thinking more around the ha level in particular. You can start adding mechanics. Maybe something's changed a little bit. Maybe you move from, let's say, 4-week sprints, which I've seen lots of teams start off with, down to 2-week sprints, which is probably the more like the industry common practice. And you may want to add or remove some mechanics based on that, right? If I'm planning 4 weeks, I may need to do some different mechanics in order to get effective value production, right? Or to make sure I get different feedback loops. Whereas I move to 2, maybe I can get rid of some, but I might have to add something else, right? And then of course, once you move into the re, I might start actually, customizing mechanics or making up my own mechanics. And I might actually start gamifying the whole work process based on mechanics. So that's essentially one of the things that you're thinking a little about. You got whole shu-ha re, and then what you do with board game mechanics depends on where you are. If you're at shu and you're just starting out, it's probably best just to follow the rules for a bit and get familiar with them before you start modifying them, right? So I think that probably can resonate with most people. So back to another exercise. So I'm going to put you back in the same breakouts. Hopefully this all, maybe it might work. So this, you might wind up in slightly different rooms if things work out the way they should. So just be aware of that. And so work with the group that you're in, that you'll be bringing new perspectives in that. Actually, this Trello board I'll show this link is wrong. So when I put out the slides for everybody, I'll make sure I have the proper one. But what I want you to do is take one or two key mechanics that you described, and I want you to think about a reward structure, either for the whole team or for individuals, that you would apply to them. Now, when you reward structures, can have detrimental effects. So think a little bit about whatever side effects are going to, there's positive things and negative things that can go along with a reward structure. And then just sort of put that into the description, and we're going to debrief on that. So I'm going to give you 8 minutes. I only expect you to do one or two. Don't try to do them all. Just pick out what you think the most important ones are that you would want to reward, which may not be the most important ones that you just reported out on, because it could be a different one that you want to report on. So try to think about what, the ones you would want to reward, and maybe what that reward would look like. All right. Are there any questions? If so, please post them into the chat. And I prefer it to go to everyone. So
could you take an example if you don't mind?
Sure. So I'll give you, let's do one around stand up. So we have the cooperative play. Actually, since we're going to be doing that, we might as well go back and look at the board. So maybe I want to reward cooperative play, right? So one way I could do that is every time the team has every member's voice heard, right, then they get a point. And then at the end, I could look across all teams and maybe, arrange some award, reward levels based on how many points the team earned. Now that could have some negative consequences, because I'm now starting to compare teams, and is stand-ups the most important thing? Probably not, but so that could be a negative effect that I'd have, right? So that could be something important. There are other ones I'd want to be very careful about rewarding, right? So like if I rewarded pick up and deliver to where you're getting to the other end, people might start taking shortcuts on the definition of done. Maybe they don't do as much testing in order to get more stuff over to the end. Or if I rewarded worker placement, people might start picking up too many cards on their own to try to get rewards for that. Right. I want to show that I do more work than other people. So you'd have to be careful. Those are some things that you might want to be very careful about. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Any other ones? Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and get our breakout rooms again. We'll see how this shuffles out. I have not seen this kind of problem with Zoom before, but who knows what's going on. I don't currently, before I even do that, I am going to, I notice room 10 was only going to get one person. All right, I think I've got an even distribution of folks. All right, let me open up all the rooms. Let me actually make sure, let me just do a check on the options. All right, I'm gonna open up all the rooms. Hopefully you wind up with some of the same people you're already working with. And again, if you have problems, where maybe you're by yourself or something, either send me a message through chat or come back to the main room and we'll see if we can solve it. All right, here we go.
Hi, Jia.
Hi, Nikita. So we are good with the games that we selected. I think he mentioned about the for Moscow, he said we can use card, right?
Yeah, he mentioned we can use cards.
Card drafting, yeah?
Yeah.
So which game would you like to pick up?
Yeah, let me just share my, okay, here. You tell me, I'm good with anyone. Do you want to go for Moscow?
For Moscow, it's card drafting, right?
Yeah.
So we can in the bracket we can put card drafting, so we know that it's mapped to card drafting. So I'm just looking like which one.
How can we? what can be the reward system for this?
What can be the reward system? Like based on what the rewards will be given, the reward.
Yeah.
Okay. First, we have to understand what this game is, right? First, we need to understand what is a card drafting game, what is a commodity speculation game. Only then we can think of rewards.
Yeah. So
I'm just looking at it, and it's a big list. If you go to that that subset of board game, right? It's a huge list. If we click on one.
Okay. So do we have card drafting here? Yeah, card drafting.
Like if you go to card drafting,
Play
people love
evolves.
drafting.
Yeah.
If you click on this card drafting, this is a link.
Okay.
That takes you to this page, which will list all the things. So
let's just read through this and see if we can understand. Play evolves in the game by planning, balancing resources, upgrading characters and facilities via decks of cards that you pull from a common set or from a hand passed to you. Okay. Card drafting here. The game mechanic where the primary way players acquire cards is by selecting them from a face-up display. Many games using this. So basically, you are picking up cards and you are something like a poker planning where you're.
But then how do you reward someone? Because when it comes to card, it's all.
Yeah. So what I am thinking is like, the team whose feature or item gets selected in the plan, in the release, gets a point. So that will kind of make people bid or, give priority to the same set of items. So suppose there are 10 items and there are 5 people who are in the room who are deciding like which one should go into the release. Now, if all 5 of them choose different ones, none of the items will get a priority. But then if you reward that, the items, like if they go, like 2 of them go for the same item that gets selected, that team gets a point. So they'll be more collaboration, they'll be more cooperative, they'll be more willing to be with somebody or vote the same ones.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with you.
Yeah, so that will promote collaboration basically.
Correct. So that means that every member is able to understand what is the, they have a clear understanding of value and vision. Only then, that same understanding will come why certain features go into the release. Yeah.
Collaboration. So we're promoting these things.
I would say a collaboration and focus on value and vision.
The team or more than team, we should say the participants.
I would say team, because individual points, we should always promote team points, right?
Yeah.
It's not about individuals getting the points, but it's about the team, because basically it's a team that has agreed that these are the important features for the release. Because if there is conflict amongst the members, then it is not the way, then the reward points will be as what Paul mentioned, it will be detrimental. And he did mention that we should also look at how can the reward points be detrimental. I think it would increase the competition amongst the teams,
Yeah, it would increase also maybe, even if I don't feel this particular feature is very important, I might just be tempted to vote for it because I can see many people are voting.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be one of the
that could be the negative effect
yeah
of
yeah, that could be the negative effect of this.
So yeah, we have identified both the positive and negative.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
So we can say it will be detrimental if the teams use it for if the teams try to compete and they use it just for the sake of putting the feature into the release without understanding its value and without aligning it to the vision. Yeah, they just vote for the sake of voting.
Yeah, sake of a reward.
For the sake of reward.
Rather than
understanding the value and the bigger vision of the product. Yeah, good.
Good.
I think we were supposed to do just one only, right?
Yeah, one or two maybe. Yeah, but we just have 20 seconds. So this time would you be okay being the spokesperson for this?
Okay, I can proceed. But I'm not going to turn on my camera because my child is sleeping. So
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we just have we run out of time. So yeah, I guess one is good for us for now.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Nikita.
Yeah, thanks. See you in the main room.
But then Paul said nobody's in breakout 5, so then we all
Okay,
went
okay.
there.
So me and Piyush has discussed about refinement, and probably Piyush will be presenting it. So just letting you know.
All right, thank you.
We are talking about these badges for the motivating the people, right? Yeah, that motivation, there are intrinsic and extrinsic motivations are there. Up to some extent, we can go with the extrinsic motivating the people. And the intrinsic motivation is what something in the organizations or in the teams people were lacking. Like how we can bring the people into an intrinsic way of motivating. Like if you are appreciating the people in front of the team, then people will love to uh, get that motivation intrinsic, because money, that is some extent we can give it an extrinsic motivation or as a rewards.
Right.
So we are still
But
talking about
intrinsic
breakout
is
room
more
5, right?
important for the people. Yeah.
I just want to make sure, are we still talking about technical practices or have we moved on to something else?
Niraj, the other rooms are closing down and people are starting.
Okay, all right. So
the only thing I need is for somebody to be a spokesperson for this, for number 5.
I would like to nominate Niraj.
sure, throw me under the bus. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, sure, no problem.
Okay, let's take a look. It looks like we've got most everybody back. I'm just gonna do one other check here, just to make sure that's true. Yep. All right, cool. So it looks like we got everybody back. It's magic. All right, this time we're going to start with breakout room 9, and we're going to work our way backwards. So it looks like you did some description around the card drafting in Moscow. Let's take a look at that card up.
So basically, we were looking at the Moscow card drafting, and we thought that what the team has an agreement on and if they have an agreement on and they understand the vision. So if the team understand the product vision, they have an agreement on the value that they should release. To bring the
I think
feature
you're
to the
breaking up.
release.
I don't know if it's for me or for everyone.
Yeah, I guess it was for everyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
better now.
I will
Okay,
say
so I was,
bit crushing going on right there.
okay, it's maybe Nikita, you can explain it because
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
it's
Fine, no problem. So, what we thought of is with this Moscow card drafting, we could reward the team or the participant group of participants who have voted for the features which made it to the release. So this way, it would promote collaboration and they would focus on the value and the vision of the team. Everybody would work towards one goal. That would be the reward system. The decremental value of this could be that somebody might just want to vote for a feature which is more popular because they want to get that reward rather than thinking differently or thinking out of the box.
Very cool. All right, let's move on to number 7. And looks like, so I don't see in, I'll let you all decide which one you were discussing. So whoever was in number 7.
We know it was me and Anand, and so we thought of 3 scenarios, where generally teams are getting rewarded, and then definitely they have the impact. So those 3 scenarios are basically, of course, on the done, how many stories are done, and the flip side is team will be more focused on finishing stories rather than creating an MVP. Also, they will dodge DoD. They will not they'll compromise on quality. So these are the flip side of rewarding teams on story completion. Then the other one is okay, acceptance of story by customers. So POs bring in customer representatives. A lot of time, mostly we have seen that in product companies. So what they will do, they will try and get those representatives which will mostly say, yes or accept when I'm very keen or aware of the product. That also happens. And so that is one major problem. So initially you might get a go ahead, but at a later stage, the entire product will start collapsing. And that can be a problem. And then last sort of reward is in a lot of reviews, teams also discuss why this particular item was not done, and their team gets an space to explain why it was not done. But of course, what ultimately happens that we start putting blame on each other. So that is the flip side. So if you're rewarding, okay, whose fault was it, like negative reward, and in that scenario people can get into blame game.
Cool. Thank you very much, DT. That was awesome. All right, let's move on to room 6. Looks like you had one for some stuff around active listening.
Yes. So we chose active listening, and we thought that if we could reward the teams or the team members based on when they asked a clarifying question, and to get people to not just ask frivolous questions, we thought that the other team members could vote and say, yeah, you know what, that's not good enough. Ask another question, ask a better question. So the bonus of this is that the team members are learning how to ask clarifying questions together in a safe environment. And something that's new to me is the active listening solar technique. So again, it's the team learning new skills and getting better information, working together.
Cool. I like that. That's an interesting approach, and you chose a very unique one. All right, let's go on to 5 technical practices. We have 2. Let's start off with the leveling up one.
All right, this is Niraj, and I'm speaking on behalf of the team. So I'm the spokesperson. So actually the entire team is speaking. So our area was technical practices. And obviously, as you know, technical practice is a pretty specialized area. So we said we would reward if people do cross-skilling, leveling up, because that would actually help in many ways. People can go on vacation and stuff like that as well. And plus, rewarding cross-skilling will motivate other people to, cross-skill themselves. So that's the leveling up aspect. And the other was, because technical is again a very siloed field, people like to just put their heads down and work on technical stuff. We thought we'll reward collaboration, like if people partners and become partnership and stuff like that, that's what we would reward. And that was it. So we tried to make the technical practice a little more motivating in areas and making people work together. And the dark side, to Chris's point, was that we were not going to be rewarding any badges to rock stars. We didn't want to bring rock stars into the team. We wanted it to be a team with everybody helping each other and having everybody's back. That's about it. So
cool. All right, let's move to number 4, partnership.
So this is Ramik. So in partnership, what we thought of, and somehow it worked in one of the teams earlier, long back 7-8 years ago. We start rewarding the top and best partners or pairs, and then they can double their score if they get a chance to improve the team who has scored lowest. So then the pair becomes individuals and pair up with the other pairs. And the new pair, if they become the top performer next time, they double their scores.
That's it. That's an interesting playing mechanic. Very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, let's go to, did anybody have story refinement?
Yes.
Okay.
Partnership.
Partnership, yep.
Story refinement. Okay, somebody took.
Okay, what we discussed is reward the team based on the highest number of stories during refinement meeting the DOR criteria. So this way teams will earn the points. The flip side to it is teams may manipulate data in order to just meet the DOR and points.
I could see that. I could also see another flip side. Maybe the product owner is disconnected because, hey, I can see I can get this one easily done, but it may not be the most valuable one. So that would be another flip side that kind of comes to mind. But I could see this being valuable as well, right? So if you can manage that, I could see that having value because you're getting things in a better ready state. Very cool. All right, who had backlog management? Number 2.
Hey, hi, Naresh here back. So there are a couple of rewarding mechanisms that we put. One is appreciation cards. So we'll provide a more number of inputs in the backlog management. So there will be a couple of terms, king of backlog or backlog master on weekly basis. So we'll be putting this in the wall or in a collab area so that people are aware that who is the king of backlog for this week, so that people motivate and to give more ideas to the backlog management or participate and collaborate much.
Very cool. And lastly, room 1 with estimation. Looks like you got a chance to hit 3. Let's start off with betting and wagering.
Actually, I will start with cooperative play. That's the one that we got the best.
Okay.
We would actually reward the team players, aka team members. The person, and if approved by the team, he would get a point or 2. So this could actually work across all the other activities as well, not just estimation. That's it.
Very cool. All right. Let's go back to our presentation. Got to. All right, so we just did our debrief. So basically, if ding, we have corner on agility now with our board game mechanics. So again, I just want to invite you to think about how you can apply board game mechanics or video game mechanics. Leveling up is something that happens a lot in video games, or power-ups, badges, or something that's quite often in that as well. So I just want you to think a little bit about how these might apply, and how you might be able to use them as a mechanism for helping get more agile and being able to, as things change over time, that you're able to do more stuff, more changes, be able to adapt, maybe change your scoring mechanisms, how the rewards are sort of working, to try to get rid of detrimental effects that you might see. So you might see what was working really, really well later on starts showing up a detrimental effect, that might be a scoring mechanism, a reward that's occurring, and now we can just sort of change what part of the mechanisms get rewards, or add a mechanism that gets the reward instead of the current mechanism. So those are just things to, again, think about. That's the way I look at it, and I think it becomes very helpful that way. So what I'd like to do to sort of close out is take a minute silently. We're not going to share this. Just write down something you're going to take away that you might try from this workshop. And I've given you a few examples, but there may be something else entirely. So I'll just give you 1 minute to do that. About 30 seconds left. Okay, so you have now hopefully some little new insight that you might be able to use. You might want to put that somewhere on your desk or something as a reminder for a while, if that's, especially if you have something that's maybe you're trying to handle immediately. So with that, I would like just to invite you to, you can keep in touch with me. There's my work email address if you want to touch base with me there. There's my Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you can get in touch with me there. Couple little things I'll mention is I am the initiative chair for Agile Coach Camps. If you are interested in trying to set up a camp, I know Deepti's already set up one, so you've got somebody experienced in the country, as well as Naresh Jain has also done them. But if you're looking for help, feel free to reach out. I can let you join the organizers group, and then that way you can kind of connect with other organizers and get tips and tricks on how to set up one. I also am the chair for the Agile Coach Camp Worldwide Initiative, which is something entirely slightly different, where this year we're holding it virtually because of COVID. Normally it's an in-person event that we would have before the big Agile 20XX conference. So it would have been before Agile 2020 this year if that would have happened. So again, Deepti's involved in that. She can be a facilitator for one of the sessions. You can get details on that at agilecoachcamp.net if you're interested in looking at joining and participating. I would love to have you. I also participate in 2 different initiatives, the Agile Coaching Initiative that Shane Hasty is running, and also the Principle 12 Initiative, which is all about retrospection, that Enrico Tiati is running. So those are 2 other initiatives that I'm actively participating. And I also run a meetup where we meet up every Wednesday evening Eastern US time, called the Games for Agility, Learning, and Engagement, or GALE meetup. So if you go on meetup.com and you look for Games for Agility, Learning, and Engagement, you should find out. And if you want to join us, I welcome you to join us. And with that, that's everything. So thank you very much for the invitation to the committee, and I really appreciate it.
I wanted to do one quick thing, which is, with the Mentimeter. So I have this URL. Just type menti.com, menti.com, everyone, menti.com. And here is the code. Please use this code when you open the menti.com. Please do that. Menti.com. And all your appreciation, wonderful session and everything, you can actually provide there. So hold it. Instead of putting it all on chat, please open menti.com and start putting in your, wonderful feedback there.
What was the code, Deepti? 4034?
It's in chat.
And I'm unable to get to chat.
40, 34, and 06.
All right, thank you.
And the first one to enter is going to get a reward, right? Neeraj, you are running late.
I couldn't, yeah, I'm doing it from my phone now. So
Dipti, you are in the presenter mode, and for we cannot see the next slide until you move.
Yeah, I will move it. I just thought, I'll quickly show it to you guys.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
And if I go back and I change the slide, so then you can now do it here. So now, here is the next one. And you all can start. How did you find this session? What did you know? Paul's last question. What did you learn? And you have only 15 seconds. So Paul, there is a question. People are asking if they can get the deck, or actually there is a document which Paul has already shared, but is there any other, deck or something that you would like to share, or, where they can actually reach out to you as well, the last slide especially?
Yeah, I was replying to Nikita by accident privately because she had sent. But yeah, I'm going to post this to SlideShare, and then I will send you the link, and you can share it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Do that.
Wonderful. So thank you. Here is our response on the menti.com. Wow. And thanks for all the lovely input. Wonderful. Thank you.
yeah, Paul, this is a great session. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
You have a great day.
Thank you.
Morning.
Thank you
I
so
heard
much.
it in the morning. So
Thank you so much, Paul.
you guys have a great day.
Thank you,
Over in the
everyone.
morning
Thank you.
time zone.
One
Thank you
request.
all.
Next
Bye-bye.
time use word cloud in a Menti. Okay, it look awesome.
No, I didn't want to. I wanted actually the response, not just how did you feel. I know there is word cloud, but I wanted to give people more, space to write. So that's why.
Some common words will come up. Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't want word cloud. Yeah, but thank you. So guys, I'll also share with you Agile Coach Camp URL so that you all can register, and you should totally not miss it. And thanks a lot, Paul. This is a great session, tons of learning for me, and I'm going to recreate it in my next conference submission. I'm sure many of us must be thinking, and a lot of takeaways. I mean, not just what we did today. If given 2 hours, probably way much more can be created out of this.
Yep. Just so you know, this was actually something I submitted in the Agile 2014 conference. So I've modified it a bit since then because it's gotten a little bit smoother. So.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you so
Really
much.
enjoyed it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Excellent session.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Bye.
Thanks, Nikita and Dolly.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Nice session.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.